Hey Beck, we're diving into the next Summer Health Challenge episode today. What's this one going to be about?
Well, we've talked a lot about goals, but this one is going to be specifically about setting, understanding, and achieving fitness goals, which is something everyone struggles with, no matter who you are.
That's right. We just want to remind everyone that it doesn't matter where you are at right now. It's never too late to start. This health series is for everyone. So we're going to tell the story real quick about how my health journey started a little bit over 12 years ago. Honestly, it was a diet. It was a Biggest Loser competition. I've shared this before, but you had already lost about 35 pounds. You were probably looking better and healthier since we knew each other and we met in college, and you were a junior college athlete. Mm-hmm. So you were at this point in your mid-30s post having 3 boys in 4 years. And so the fact that you were looking so good was pretty spectacular. And I definitely was not looking so good. I was probably at my unhealthiest weight and least fit level of my adult life or life in general. And I was inspired by you from the standpoint that I knew it was possible to get healthy, but not necessarily ready to get healthy myself until my friend Sergeant Alex O of the Hillsborough Police Department at the time on a Wednesday in our briefing said, hey guys.
I love that you remember it was a Wednesday.
Oh, well, it's because Wednesday was my Monday.
Okay.
So I remember it because he said, hey guys, a bunch of you've been talking about getting healthy, which honestly, I didn't remember any of those conversations happening, but let's do a Biggest Loser competition. And since I had been thinking about getting healthy, I knew exactly how I would. I'd follow the plan that you used. I knew it would take a couple days for me to get the meal replacements I would use to kick everyone's butt. So I said, hey, can we start on Saturday? Let's finish out the week and we'll start on Saturday. So I was motivated, and you know, it's just funny how perspective and time changes. But basically, I think there was a total of 12 people on my shift, and we said we'd each throw in $10, winner takes all. And you know, it's funny, now we play monthly poker games and typically the pot is $100 buy-in or more, but 12 years ago, I was highly motivated by a $120 pot. And
I'm very grateful you were motivated by that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You weren't intrinsically motivated prior to that.
No, and that's kind of the moral of the story was, you know, I was motivated. I think that challenges and competitions and things like that serve a purpose. You either have to keep dangling a new carrot in front of yourself, right, so that you have something new to go towards. But if that's your only way of doing it, I don't see that as being very sustainable. However, you got to get started, and whatever gets you started is good. And for me, that was that Biggest Loser competition. I smoked everyone, and
we knew you would.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
we expected you to.
I think by
I had my secret weapon.
We started on Saturday, and on Wednesday I walked in, and people were like, "Holy smokes, Kevin, what are you doing? You already look like you've lost a ton of weight." We weighed in on Saturday. We weighed in every week, and I think my weight loss in 1 week exceeded what anyone else lost in 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. So, but cool thing for me.
Results not typical.
Results not typical, but I was all of a sudden, it sparked this desire in me to be healthy, and it just gave me this newfound energy to kind of get me back into being active again. From an exercise standpoint, because I really had not done much other than walking consistently because of my back surgery. Right. Really hadn't exercised in a long time.
You didn't really have a lot of time. You didn't have a lot of free time. And then you didn't probably feel like doing exercise because of just where your health was at that point. And I had always used exercise as a way to try to control my weight, my body. I would say I was average height and weight. Never really satisfied. So definitely had to work through some of the mindset stuff on that where, you know, even when I was maybe thinner, I wasn't happy. I was a tall girl, so being in a smaller high school, I was always the tallest. I mean, I joke about having to shove my feet into white kids a size smaller than I actually wore.
That's why our one child does that. It's a genetic thing.
I don't think he's actually like embarrassed about his foot size. This is a size 13. I wore a 10, and you know, all of my friends in high school seemed like they wore size 6, and everyone was a very petite female, and here I was, you know, 5'9", 5'10". And it was hard to be in high school. I went to college, and all of a sudden my world got a whole lot bigger, and there was a lot of athletic people of different sizes, and it was less of a concept for me, and I could work more on being healthy and not worry so much about my size per se. But anyway, I took all of that into having 3 babies in 4 years and wanting to get my body back, especially after Dylan, which we definitely felt was our final child.
Yeah. So I guess the moral of the story is do not despise the day of small beginnings when it comes to why someone might choose to get healthy. You know, it was, for me, it was about weight loss. It was a diet at that point, but it awakened this desire in me of how awesome it felt to be healthy. And it's really, you know, it's been a 12-year journey of improvement. Not all uphill for sure. Yeah, I guess not all uphill. There's definitely been some downhill in there. But, you know, I think about it. Had he not thrown out that challenge, I don't know where I'd be right now.
And so much of our journey has been in our mind, right? Because I think, you know, we thought we were fairly healthy way back in the day because we were young. We had decent metabolisms. But the truth is we kept a lot of junk food around and we enjoyed, you know, sugar and things like that. The average person does. And we weren't overly aware of our choices and how they were affecting us. And so even though our families weren't terribly unhealthy, I just think we came in with kind of an average American mindset. And if we had stayed on that path, we would not be in the state of health that we are today, nor would we have probably transferred to our children the amount of health habits that we currently have in our household.
Absolutely. So first topic to discuss is, should people exercise for weight loss or to build a body that can help them do what they want to do? What's your take on that?
Oh man, my passion is to talk to people about exercising for lifestyle, for fitness, for functionality, not for weight loss. It takes such an enormous amount of exercise to lose weight that most people, especially women, really struggle with that and creating that calorie deficit, and it can create starvation if it's not done well, and it's exhausting. And I remember trying to run off the baby weight, and one of my challenges with Dylan after having Dylan is, you know, third baby, not a lot of time, and just being exhausted doing it. And then once I was able to work on my nutrition and get some of that body weight off, how I describe it to people, it's like I took a backpack of rocks off, like roughly 20 pounds initially. And then I went out for a run one day and I was like, oh my goodness, like my joints feel better, my lungs feel better, I have more capacity, even though I had not been training, even though I had not been practicing endurance. My body just functioned better because I was able to remove, you know, 20 pounds of extra stored fat. So we're really passionate about lifestyle fitness and functionality versus weight loss, because we just know that that can be more of a frustrating and tedious way to go about it.
Yeah, from personal experience, I mean, we're both huge fans of activity. We both enjoy working out. We have different preferences when it comes to, you know, styles of workout.
Right.
But what we have both learned is that exercise is not an efficient way to lose weight. When I got out of active duty, I stayed in the Marine Corps Reserves and I had to do an annual physical fitness test. It was either once or twice a year, I can't remember. But I remember I was always in that 215 plus, or, you know, over 210 pounds with a lot less muscle than I have now. And I also had to do a weigh-in. Now I'm remembering this. And so it was always like, okay, I basically got to starve myself, you know, go to some type of liquid smoothie diet for a week, have to run a, you know, physical fitness test. I had the pressure of having to do a what they call first class PFT, so that I could be over my max weight. And I never really lost any weight with exercise. And then you go back to 2004 when we ran the Okinawa Marathon together. I remember, like, I did not lose a pound during that entire 12-week training program. It's like, you just don't do it. The exercise actually creates this entitlement for you where you think, well, I just ran, you know, 10 miles, 12 miles, 24 miles. I can eat whatever I want. And what we know is that you actually can eat way more calories very quickly than you even burn in an entire marathon.
And it gives you an excuse to not even have quality calories at times. And I definitely remember those were the days of like carb loading. Probably some truth to that, obviously, if you're an athlete doing endurance events. But for us, what we learned through the experience is eating our normal way and doing that type of endurance running and exercising for a long period of time did not produce any weight loss.
Yeah, and then the advantage to being intentional about your exercise is you're able to, you know, focus on what's the lifestyle you want to live, what are the activities you want to do, so you can tailor your exercise towards the sports or hobbies that you want, or, you know, if it just has to do with fitness or competition or whatever it might be. But also understanding that as you increase your muscle mass, your metabolism will increase. Not only are you probably going to look better and healthier and stronger, but you're going to feel better. There's so many benefits to increasing your muscle mass. And it does actually allow you, it creates a much bigger buffer in what you can eat without it having a positive impact on your weight from the standpoint of you're gaining weight that you don't want to gain.
And probably what I understand now more is obviously just with marathon training and being, more of a long distance runner for a season, a very short season, is your body also becomes more efficient. So that's also why I didn't see, I believe, a lot of weight loss. And, some people are built like runners. Some people just enjoy that type of training. But to go out and expect yourself to lose weight doing it, we've seen a lot of people who carry a lot of extra body fat and at, I would say, less than a healthy weight for themselves, go out and run half marathons, full marathons, triathlons. And that's a lot of stress on your joints. Like, we were not overweight doing it. We just weren't as healthy as we are today.
No, and actually when we ran that marathon, I probably was.
Oh, maybe you were.
Yeah, I was probably 15, 20 pounds overweight. So didn't realize it. But think about
probably why you told me you'll never do it again.
Exactly.
When you're done.
All right. So how do you set fitness goals you can actually achieve?
Well, I really think it's definitely about taking some look at where you want to go, and then looking at your current reality like we do with any type of goal setting, and making sure that your steps are clear and that they're measurable, but also that they're doable. Some people, they go out and try to do some type of exercise program, and on day 3, they've over-exercised their body from where they started to the point where now they're taking 2 weeks off because it hurts so badly. Or they set goals that are so small for themselves that they've actually achieved some of their goals just in the first couple of days, and they haven't reset that tension, and so they don't know where to go next. And so for me, I'm more of a class person. You and I are different, but I like to go work out in a group setting. For me, I find it motivating. And so one of the things I do is I pre-book my classes at least the night before, if not sometimes, during the week, I pre-book what I'm going to do. And I'll tell you, I don't love getting up and doing the 5 a.m. class at Orange Theory. But when I pre-book the night before, even though I can afford to pay the $12 cancellation fee, I rarely miss a class. Like, I pretty much have said to myself, I've committed to that class. If I don't show up, there's going to be a fee. It's already in my calendar. And so I prep myself the night before to show up there. I prep my amino drinks. I prep everything I need to do, and set my alarm so that I'm up, stretched, and ready to walk out the door on time. And it's easier to follow through because I've made that commitment the night before.
Yeah, that's great. A lot of this has to do with just understanding your personality. Like, if you need that structure and discipline, then put it in your life. I've been working out at home for actually close to 3 years and been very consistent with it.
Right.
But there's been seasons where, like, man, I'm not motivated, and it takes an extra level of discipline for me to force myself to go out to the garage, which is where our home gym is, and do that. Where when I was a member of a fitness studio where we had classes, signed up for it, it created a little more accountability for me.
Also, knowing your time of day, people vary quite a bit. You and I have talked about this a lot. When I was younger, I would work out at 9 o'clock at night if I had to get something done. That does not happen now as a parent. But for me, even though I don't love getting up early, I really like to knock it out at the beginning of the day. I do not do well working out after like 9 a.m. I just feel like too much of the day has gotten forward. I have to come home and shower and clean up, and it just feels much more difficult for me to manage. And you love to work out in the middle of the afternoon, which to me is insane, but you also clean up in 5 minutes. So roughly 5 minutes.
The other big thing, I think one of the largest factors is your community, your associations when it comes to reaching your fitness goals. Because what we know is that we become like the people that we surround ourselves with.
Isn't that the truth?
And, I feel like the last 2 years for you and I, or maybe a year and a half, have probably been the best season for both of us. Probably both in the best shape of our lives. Could I go run a marathon? No, but I don't train that way. Plus I have back surgery, so I will never run another marathon. But overall, I'm leaner, more muscle, and same thing for you. But honestly, a lot of it has had to do with our larger community has just made a decision that they're going to the next level. And I remember roughly, the end of 2021, beginning of 22, when our friend Doug talked about kind of going to the next level. And I was like, I was challenged by that and motivated by that to say, you know what, I'm not going to be left behind. I'm going to push myself so that, I can kind of stay even with him. And, some might say, well, it's unhealthy, but to me, that's accountability. That's surrounding yourself with people who bring you up instead of push you down. And I think that's a huge factor for people. So find people who want to get healthy. If you continue to hang around people who make unhealthy food choices, lifestyle choices, the likelihood of you getting healthy is extremely low. So whether it's an accountability partner, something else that's worked really well for me is public accountability. Like last year, I posted a photo or my weight or my body fat percentage on an almost weekly basis. And I remember there were seasons where I was like, I'm gonna do this every Friday. But I think that public accountability is huge. And there's going to be some critics who are like, why are you posting that again? And you just have to understand that you're doing it for your benefit, not necessarily for the benefit of others. You will inspire some people, but you're definitely going to have some critics. So whether it's posting a weekly photo or your weekly toes on the scale or a weekly body fat test or monthly body fat test, whatever that looks like, just going public with your journey and bringing as many people along with you as possible is really important.
So when I think about what's been super hard about setting fitness goals, I've gotten to a place where I've done a lot of similar things for a while, but I do know the value of muscle confusion. I do a variety of different workouts. This is just me, obviously. Some people like consistency. I like Orange Theory because every workout is a little bit different. I do a hip hop class once or twice a week. I added in Pilates. Yes, I have quite a few memberships that Kevin is very patient with, but for me, it's just fitting in the gaps. I realized I needed to have, the stretching, the core, the small muscle movements of Pilates. And so I go once a week to a Pilates class, which has been great for me. But probably the biggest thing that's been hard, quote unquote hard, is working out with Andrea, going for runs. So my amazing friend, Andrea Worth, is super lean, built like a runner, is a runner, runs long distances. And about twice a month, we get together and we do a run together. And we run for an hour, basically. Sometimes we have to walk a few times, and it's always because I need to take a break. And I've really been in very few relationships where I needed to take the break, but with Andrea, I do. Sometimes, my knee hurts or my lung capacity is just running out, especially if we're trying to talk, and I just have to walk for a few minutes and get back to it. But we run about 6 miles. It's not super fast paced, but for me, because I'm not normally training to run 6 miles, I'm usually training to run 2 or 3 miles on the treadmill at Orange Theory. That's hard work. And set to run with her on Friday, and I absolutely love and cherish the time together, and I never look forward to the run. So when I'm done, I always feel great, but that for me has just been a form of microdosing adversity. I jokingly tell her, like, spending time with you is microdosing adversity, but it's really about the running.
What a great friend you are.
Yes, well, we're not hiking anymore, which was our original how we got together, because she asked me to hike, and after a few times I said, you want to do something else? Because I didn't want to admit to her that I actually really hate hiking. For some reason, you and I both hate hiking.
Yep, not our thing.
I'll take the run over the hike. The community time's phenomenal. It's worth every second of it. And it's good because it challenges me to do something that I'm not normally doing in my workouts. And so it just mixes things up a little bit. How about you? Anything that's like really hard? Working out with our kids? That's not hard. It's inconvenient.
It's interesting. What it does is it disrupts my routine, and everyone who knows me knows I like routine, and my workouts are less efficient with the kids.
Everything is less efficient with
kids.
kids.
Very true, but it's quality time, and I'm instilling some healthy workout routines and habits in them, so it's a worthwhile sacrifice. Let's talk about a story or two of people that we know who have had success losing weight, even getting to a healthy weight without relying on exercise, hopefully being active during the weight loss process, but not putting the focus on exercise and then really cranking up their fitness. Do you have anyone at the top of your head?
I didn't write their statistics down, but a couple people that come to mind is Ashley Estes, who was a flower girl in our wedding. So she's quite a bit younger than us. But she had gotten to a good, healthy weight for herself and then wanted to go to the next level. And as she's been working on incorporating one of our nutrition plans with her exercise, using BCAAs or EAAs as well for muscle preservation, she's actually been able to get even leaner, decrease her body fat, increase her muscle. And then Stacey Barrett's another coach and friend of ours who's had a similar experience. And that's been really fun to watch and cheer them on in that process, which is to take their health from good to great.
Yeah. I'm thinking of Brad, who is a client of ours. I connected with him probably about 6 years ago. He lost well over 100 pounds. I don't even remember how much he ended up losing. He actually was inspired to get on plan because he was hunting and couldn't get over a fence. And that was his motivation. So he lost definitely over 100 pounds and pretty much laid off of intentional exercise for the vast majority of that, ended up getting into more intense exercise towards the end of his health journey. And once he transitioned and kind of went into what we call optimization, got to the point where he was down to about 14% body fat. So when you think about someone who was, off the charts before starting and just followed a solid nutrition plan, was able to lose the fat and then get into exercise. And for him, it seemed like it became almost a healthy addiction for him, and it created that community. He was doing group fitness that was really helpful for him. So that's a cool story. And then, just a number of people that I've been able to help that were pretty darn healthy. Honestly, their before photo would probably be the ideal for many adult males after photo.
Yes.
But they just took a break, focused on nutrition, and were able to get ripped or really lean out. And the good thing about that is it helps teach everyone. Like, the one thing that we always do is eat, right? We don't always exercise when we travel or life gets busy or you have a brand new baby, you might not be exercising. But the one thing,
or you're injured. That's where we see a lot of challenges.
Exactly.
With people who are committed to their fitness for their weight maintenance or weight loss, and then they end up injured. They have to take that break, and they don't know. Yeah, they don't have a way to continue working on their goals. Yep. And then there's the people that honestly, and this is not intended to be shaming, but really should not be doing intense exercise. They're everywhere. I see them in a lot of my workout classes. But basically, they're carrying around 50, 70, 80 pounds of extra body weight, and they're doing intense exercise. And I don't see changes in like roughly a 6-month period. So they're not really losing weight through whatever they are doing. And they need to probably work on the nutrition side to get the body fat off, to reduce the pressure on their joints. We know that
it's hard on the body.
It's very hard on all of your joints, not to mention your heart and your lungs and their chances for cardiac issues. But we also know that there's been multiple studies that say for about every 10 pounds you lose, you reduce about 40 pounds of pressure off your joints. So we tell our clients, every 10-pound increment, you're taking about 40 pounds of pressure off of your hips, your knees, your back, your ankles, your feet. And so you're creating a safer, healthier way for you to actually do the fitness. And so that's just something to keep in mind if you're trying to use exercise to lose weight, but you have quite a bit of weight especially, you can be putting yourself in some danger.
Yeah. So let's talk about cardio or weights or both. Dr. Daniel Amen, heard him say that walk like you're late for 40 minutes, 4 times per week. And walking, I think, is an underrated activity, exercise.
It's so boring.
It is boring.
Unless you're with a friend.
Yeah, and you have to put intentional effort. That's why I love him, that he said walk like you're late. So it's pretty easy to, even if you don't wear a heart rate monitor, you can be like, okay, if I was late for a flight, how fast would I walk?
Right.
And walk that fast for 40 minutes. There's another book that I read, and I think you read it as well, called Younger Next Year. And they were huge proponents of walking. And what I've learned is walking is actually a great fat burning exercise. Now, you're not going to burn a ton of calories walking, but it is a great way to burn fat.
Yes, totally agree, and really struggle to do that. So I'll just admit that I'm not good at walking unless I've got a good friend and we can walk and talk. And then that is like a double dip on community and getting that done. And then as far as strength training goes, there's a lot of concepts from women. I think many of those have gone by the wayside through time, and people are much more into fitness now than they were maybe a decade or two ago, about getting bulky and whether women should lift weights. I'm a huge proponent of strength training, first with your own body weight to get yourself prepared and at the right stage, and then starting to add in other forms of weight to counterbalance your body's movements. And a big part being obviously to prevent osteoporosis. Is one of the things where a lot of women have to deal with that because they haven't done strength training. It also helps them prevent injuries by doing the functional type of strength training. A lot of classes will teach ways to lift and do that type of exercise in a way that it mimics what we do every day in our life, picking up a basket of laundry, bending over to pick up a child, just all those ways that we can end up injuring ourselves when we're not strong in our core and in our different muscle groups. And then of course, especially for women, we get a much better calorie burn if we have lean body mass.
Yeah. So going back to cardio or weights or both, obviously they serve different purposes, but we do think it's a huge mistake to neglect the weight side of things. Because strength training is so important. I'm not going to be exact with the statistic, but roughly by the age of 20, our bodies naturally start to lose or cannibalize muscle. And so if you're not counteracting that with healthy nutrition that supports muscle and exercise, which helps to build it and preserve it, you're going to see a significant loss in muscle mass. Doesn't mean you're going to lose weight, but you're going to see a significant loss in muscle mass, which ultimately lowers your metabolism. So the advantages of strength training is it helps to at least preserve, if not build your muscle mass. Ultimately, 1 pound of muscle consumes more calories than 1 pound of fat. A pound is a pound. They weigh the same, yes, but you're going to be burning more calories if you have more muscle at the same weight than if you have more body fat.
Also tends to look nicer on our bodies. So most of us prefer to look like that. So it would take specific and intentional workouts to become bulky, I believe. And I'm not a personal trainer, so I won't be able to speak to that directly, but I can tell you with decade plus of regular weight training and consistent exercise that I've been able to create lean muscles and really change my body fat. I think I'm sitting somewhere like 15% right now as a 46-year-old woman. And I don't do, hours and hours of exercise. I do basically 45 to 60 minutes, 4 to 6 days a week, and then counteract that with high protein and essential amino acids, lots of water, good nutrition. And I'm grateful that I can maintain health at this age and maybe add a little bit of muscle, but really just keep that body fat down and maintain my muscle mass at this point so that I can stay healthy and prevent injury.
Awesome. All right, friends. So gave you some great ideas today, or hopefully you find them great, but these are some of the principles that we've used over the last 12 years to really get into the best shape of our life. And we're not done. We're both striving towards more, but just really want to encourage you to eat for weight loss and exercise for health and muscle gain, and to understand the importance of bringing in community and accountability and just going public. We understand that there's a lot of people who might carry some shame or be embarrassed about how they look or how they feel or what they weigh. You don't have to share it all with everybody, but we highly recommend that you make that public declaration to help you on that journey. And then keep a balanced approach, right? You shouldn't be all cardio. You still need to do some cardio, even if you're going heavy on the weights. I lean towards weights over cardio, but it's so important to have that healthy heart and to keep that blood flowing. So, and for women, do the strength training. It's important. Yep. It helps, that muscle will help you burn body fat. And like you said, it takes a lot of intentionality to really get bulky. And if you're not being purposeful towards that, you shouldn't have to worry about becoming like a bodybuilder physique as a woman if you're lifting weights.
Yep. So let's work on getting to our healthiest selves this summer. I mean, for us, it's about health even more than it is about weight. And, the world is telling us that obesity is okay, that obesity is beautiful. And even though we believe that in God's economy, everyone has value, that beauty does come from the inside, there's still the truth and facts about health. And it's overwhelming that when you carry excess body fat, there's a lot of comorbidities associated with that, besides the emotional things that come with it. So there's no shame starting where you're at, but start somewhere, reach out, get help. We would love to come alongside you and talk about your health goals with you if we can be of service. And just know that it's absolutely important to start pursuing health at whatever age you're at, and then continue to create new goals for yourself. So there's always a place to go next, and work on being the best versions of ourselves so that we can live long, healthy lives and be as impactful as possible. Yeah, we love seeing so many of you start your summer health challenge last week. Your challenge for this week is to share something on social media about your journey so far that will help someone else. Make sure you tag us at Bekah and Kev, and also use the hashtag Summer Health Challenge, and let's do this together.